Okay. I want to let everybody know that even though it's dark outside and the light is coming from behind my head, I still want to wear these shades. However, let me begin by opening our main ideas that we have literally right now and presenting a very interesting idea to you. What I would like to tell you is that you need to really acknowledge the first things that come to you. For example, if I had a bunch of lights on me, it'd be important for me to acknowledge those lights. So, experiences similar to that would be attention and attention of intelligence. What does that mean? I'm suggesting to, you know how you have a phone in your pocket which has access to the internet, to Google? Try to compare a person who doesn't have access to that and try to compare a person who does, who literally utilizes the information we have at our hands. To any human being who is trying to learn how to live better, let yourself first see where are you? Before all this, ask yourself, where are you? Who are you? Now, how you utilize information is a very important space to move in. In other words, when you think about information, in what ways are you receiving it? We have the senses. How capably are connected are these senses working together? And then adjust yourself and really think if you want to live with the amount of sensory reception you have and perception you have, or you want to work at a different angle than the one many that have been suggested. You see, I want to give you the idea of why you must value your own experience more than you hear other people's experiences, because that is the newest update. You are you for yourself in the moment are your own newest update of who you are. And once you really look at your life, may you find the hands that could be potentially holding you. There is a comfort with existence, in my experience, of course, there's a comfort with existence you receive when you're aware beyond just the game. When you're seeing the game, and once you're aware beyond just the game, you play differently. You know, it's the manner approach you have to life is the type of person you're choosing to see. So what I'm implying there is that from the minute you wake up till the minute you sleep, literally who you are in that time period is looking at itself. You are self-aware. A rock is not self-aware. Some animals are not self-aware. You as a human being are self-aware. Therefore, you are part of your own audience. You are seeing yourself more than just the ideas that are coming through. It is as if there's a very beautiful sphere of intelligence where all this knowing is connecting and being manifested through for us to even be aware. You need to really ask what self-awareness is and how it works. Because when you really think about how you can become more aware of yourself, it reaches a point where it transcends just what you see. When you're ready to see more of how you are experiencing life, it is only then that new experiences may flow in your life. It is a private thing because from that privacy, you can see that you're never private and you're connected to everything. Let yourself reflect to the degree that you see the light in the mirror, the light that is bringing you that reflection, the first sensual input from the senses, being aware of that relationship. Self-awareness brings, and when I say self-awareness, I'm not talking about some strange thing you got to do. You simply have to think about how your thoughts are working. You got to think about your intelligence, and you will find the update methods of how you would like to have a, I don't want to say master, but have a sphere of knowing where you're receiving input that is not only filtered by what is supposed to make sense. When you are more open and receptive to the degree that the input doesn't need to, how do I say it? Once you get rid of a filter, you have much more options on how your life is or how your life will be, and literally the quality of your life changes when you become aware. Just understand that. You don't need anything, you just need to look at yourself. You need to self-reflect. You need to see yourself through my eyes. And the same for me too. And once enough human beings have done this, they can become more perceptive of the change that is becoming more real, more of a reality. You see, stop trying to be a savior and walk. Do not be a person who keeps wanting to come back to certain experiences of your past and change them. See, if you're a kid and you get a traumatic experience, something happens to you suddenly, um, you get beat up, you go through some form of abuse or something, you know. If you are that person, make sure you're aware enough that you're not just stuck in the story of that experience. When something happened in the past, it was a defining moment where we had to participate and we worked with it. You know what I mean? In other words, your past doesn't need to carry on into your future. You do not need to have low self-esteem or low ideas of yourself, because you don't need to have what didn't work for you in the past telling you still you can't do it. Your past needs to be made aware of. You need to really look and literally, like a book, look at the ideas and the intelligence, you literally the life you've lived so far, and then make a decision that is very balanced, that is present both in the yin and both in the yang. It works. It is a choice. Make your decisions um, in a way where you feel it would be the same decision both on earth and both on heaven, or that idea of a greater and more abundant reality that you perceive. Know that when you are here in the moment and your awareness is really focused here, you really find the roots of what has kept your awareness here in this space and time, and you really be aware of that, your experience slightly changes of how reality works, but the self-reflection gets rid of what doesn't work, because you no longer need to communicate in that manner. You don't no longer need to keep that idea that came to you You don't need to have a snowball effect. You just need to stop, and then you'll melt, and then you won't always be in this trying to get bigger um, route that you feel is going to be the most rock and roll lifestyle. It's very important to have clarity in your environment, but also clarity of self to make sure that you're not running a fool's errand, for example, or you are not doing stuff that is not really serving you. When you become aware of how your system is being maintained, you might see that you might be making a lot of money, but your physical body is unhealthy. So that is always the best route, and you feel like you want to let go. For example, you need to analyze yourself, your health, your progression, um, and when you do analyze it, you really speak like the most vibrant being you can be. Self reflection makes you a gentler person because it takes away the reasons why you are doing your acts of violence or whatever, acts of instability. You see, people, before they choose to be criminals or to choose to be saints, saints or sinners, whatever, they go into those labels, those heavy labels. Before you go through that, first think about yourself as a human being who is born in this space of considered time and how long you're going to live. And understand that you as a human being in the time frame you live right now are the only one who can affect things in this period of time that will affect the future. You are alive right now at a certain degree of a system that is evolving. Therefore, our society, it is only you who has access. We are planting the fields. And an individual person might feel it's not a big field, but you are planting the field for the future generations. Therefore, let yourself see why you're deciding something and then decide it. Because when you do that, there might not even be a reason or a need for a decision. And therefore, you're cleansing your reflective or your awareness into being aware of more of what you really want. See, a lot of people see this law of attraction stuff. Abraham Hicks, everyone, they're like, law of attraction, law of attraction. They need to understand that the attraction is coming from also a space they cannot see. If you believe in law of attraction and you want to really see, in my opinion, of course, this is my view, you really want to see how law of attraction works or why you're attracted, this is not the first information. In other words, you are a much vaster being that you cannot really see all that you're attracting. You are reacting based on the attraction of images and life. You're reacting based on the attraction of images and life in a manner that is slightly ignorant to your vaster vision. If life or existence created a human being like me to look out like this, it probably created other beings who have a vaster vision, because my vision is always expanding. Who's at the top? Who is at the top that sees everything about existence? And that route is a collective way. It's a collective way. In other words, you stop thinking about how much your individuality is valuable, and you see the value in your collective expression. See, a person who wants to, for example, change the world, or a person who wants to change the CD in his Xbox are different people. There's it is not about, see, self-reflection makes you uncomfortable at what you're hearing or what you're saying. You might be hearing, for example, what I'm saying, and it might be making you uncomfortable. It might be doing something to you which you don't truly understand. But once you really look at how self-reflection is all that you're doing in this existence, you really feel like you need to know that self and really look at how you're living life. Just look at how you're living life and then make another decision, and then make a better one. And understand that if you feel your life is terrible, if your life is coming to an end, or whatever terminology that is keeping you in that state of emotion and feeling, you don't need to be there. You don't need to be in a lot of the games you're playing right now. You don't need to have to do a lot of things, but you're doing it because that it seems to be the path to certainty. So in that case, certainty always looks at uncertainty. Let's assume right now you became the most certain human being you could be. You became so certain that you knew everything. Then, when you're in that peak, you'd be like, imagine you just lived like for a very long time like that. You'd be like, okay, I know everything. Now, how does it feel being uncertain? You know? Or that can maybe not even happen because you're always feeling certain. But if you are, a lot of human beings are in that stage of wondering how certain they can be of their life and how much their truths are true. There's a lot of people thinking that right now. You need to realize it begins from first looking at yourself and then looking at the world you're in. Because how you define yourself, a lot of the times, if you do it based on the world you're in, you might not be that much of a better person. The world is telling you it's hard to live. You, when you self-reflect, when you go to yourself first, you try to see, is it really hard to live? Do I have to struggle in this way? Do I have to think in a way where my hardship is created or induced? Or do I need to think that I was not lucky, I was whatever, ignorant? You look at where you are and then move with awareness. That's it. That's the best action in any moment of life. It is okay to be without reason. It is okay to be how a lot of poets have said, mystical poets have said, the fool. The fool was so innocent because he didn't know what he was doing, and he thought he lived in a beautiful world. The fool had so much trust that believed he lived in a utopia. That fool who might not be as advanced or as capable as you is living a better life at times. Farmers are not living a bad life, or people in African tribes are not living a bad life. Their experience as an awareness is much different. A native, or those aboriginal tribes that haven't even seen society, that being is living in a very utopic life. It is only his experience. It hasn't gone out to the collective. Or, for example, this is all an example. You choose how bad your life is. Choose well. Understand that there are a lot of processes of change, and you don't need to fear change. You actually need to just simply look at how beautiful all these changes are connected in your life. When you really look at how beautiful all these experiences of change are weaved in your mind and in your awareness, it's a beautiful thing. Life has a very beautiful geometry to it. As one's awareness begins to first look inwards and then outwards. There's a lot of the Eastern religions and gurus say, look within and then you will see everything that's outside, right? And that is very true. They say look within because before you make any decision, you need to first look at who's making the decision. Really clearly make sure you have a good idea of who you are that is doing what you are doing, and then decide again. And then really See if your flow has to be the same way. See if you have to live in the same way. Your conditioning is making your conditions. And it's making it in a place where you are deciding if you want to keep or hang on to your conditioning. You're deciding if you really feel you need that. Your conditioning is simply the first information that you have, or all the information you think you have. But your conditioning is simply how someone has tilted your head into looking at life in a certain way. Loosen your neck, literally loosen your neck, and look at the different lenses, look at the different eyes. And you'll realize it is too big to measure, just like the universe. The human experience is too big to measure, just like the universe, and in this context which I'm presenting. I understand I do these very casually in my room, but what I would really like from each person that's listening, my talks or any of my words, to really look at where my words are coming from. Because when you really ask, you ask some questions that don't have answers yet, and it reaches a point where your interest questions itself. And that's a very beautiful and valuable moment. That's a very alchemical moment in your life, when literally your eyes are opening differently. That's a very beautiful moment in your life. So anyways, I like to keep this casual. I want you to really listen to the ideas I'm saying, but sometimes I notice the way I'm saying it is creating a certain context and landscape which beautifully people may enter to see differently. You understand? My words are simply a pattern of ideas at seeing a better world. And it's very important to break questions by asking them where they come from, because then they would have to break themselves to know. Let yourself make decisions in a very comfortable environment, and let yourself let yourself feel how free you are, because we're always sprouting into the forms that we are meant to sprout in. Thank you.